Good afternoon. Happy Independence Day to everyone in Ghana. I hope you can all still hear me loud and clear.
We can.
Awesome. So we are very excited to have you all here for our first Twitter Spaces at WiMLDS Accra. And as we all know, today is our Independence Day, 65th Independence Day. We're excited about it. And we're also excited to talk about data science and machine learning, the opportunities in it for us here in Ghana, in Africa, and beyond. Right. So you may be wondering what WiMLDS is. So Women in Machine Learning and Data Science is actually an organization that has a mission to support and promote women and gender minorities who are practicing, studying, or are interested in the fields of machine learning and data science. And at WiMLDS, we create opportunities for members to engage in technical and professional conversations in a positive, supportive environment by hosting talks like these, which are hosted by women and gender minority individuals working in data science and machine learning. Right. So if you want to learn more about us, kindly go to WiMLDS.org. That's WiMLDS.org. And if you'd like to join our Accra chapter, kindly go to the link in our bio to join our meetup page. And remember to follow us here on Twitter for more information on our activities. Right. So for our discussion today, we are going to have the space under about an hour, right? So please do not go off the line. Don't miss even a minute of this because we'll be done before you know it. Let's all be online and listen attentively. And if you have any questions along the way, kindly DM them to the WiMLDS_Accra page. That's this page on Twitter. And we'll be sure to read them out and have them answered at the end. Right. So my name is Asada Adaidese, and I'm one of the co-organizers here at WiMLDS Accra, and I am happy that finally we're kicking off this conversation here on Twitter, and we hope that you all find it very useful and exciting as well. So for our guests today, we have two amazing ladies in machine learning and data science. And first we have Martha Tay, who is a PhD candidate and researcher at the NCDC of the University of Stuttgart in Germany. And we also have Jade Abbott, who is a natural language processing engineer and a researcher at Rachel Rabbit and Masakani, based in South Africa. So I'm sure they're going to talk more about themselves and about the work they do, all the things they've been contributing to in machine learning and data science today. So, yes, to set the ball rolling, let's find out from our wonderful panelists. Could you ladies share a bit about your journey into data science, AI, machine learning, and how you got into the field and what your journey has been like? So, any of you could go. Who would like to go first?
You could pick on us.
Okay, Martha, I think you can go.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Asida, and thanks to all the listeners for joining in today. I'm excited to share my journey because honestly, growing up, I never thought I would end up in the fields of AI or ML. I mean, none of us really knew so much about AI ML then at the university stage. So basically, my journey in ML practically started maybe when I was in the third year of the university. And I mean, it wasn't intentional. I just happened to have stumbled or worked with one of the research centers in the university was the Earth Observation Research and Innovation Center. And they were actually creating models from real-time weather data and then making predictions of it. But actually my work over there, or me joining them as an intern, wasn't actually to work on any of that, but I'd say fortunately for me, I was asked to create an ML model to detect like malicious files. And at that point, I literally knew nothing about it. So I think it was both challenging, and I think it was good because I had to read a lot online because I actually didn't know anything. And I wasn't coming from a CS background. I actually did electrical engineering. So it was more like having to read, having to understand what I was actually expected to do. So all I did was just look at what people had done and just copy codes. I didn't really understand what was going on at the time, but yeah, someone would say, I'm splitting the data, and then he runs a set of code. And I also happen to run that same set of code on the data I have, and then it works. I'm like, okay, yippee, it's working, but I didn't understand what was going on. So that happened for during the internship period. And I think the only thing that kept me going was anytime I ran into an error because I didn't understand what I was doing, Stack Overflow was just there to help me resolve the error. And from there, I was like, okay, it's cool. I mean, it's actually interesting to sort of create a model to do some predictions because, well, if I give in some data, I'm able to classify, I'm able to tell if this file is actually malicious, if this is not malicious. And I was like, okay, maybe it's something I could try. So at that time, I felt it was too late to go into computer science because I was in third year, so I can't go tell them that I'm switching to computer science or anything. But I just happened to take some artificial intelligence as one of my electives in the final year, and then that was it for me. So with that interest, my final year project was based on like the natural language processing, and then it started from then. The interest grew, and I think I managed to also work with some cool companies. I lit technologies where I happened to explore more and do more stuff in AI. So my journey wasn't practically planned, but I think things just unfolded, and maybe a lot of people might have similar experiences because most of us really didn't know what we were even up to way back in the university. So that was how my journey in AI ML started. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, Martha, because you went to a Ghanaian university, right? Could you please tell us the name of your university?
Yeah, so my university was the University of Energy and Natural Resources. I
Okay.
mean, not so popular too, because by then I think that was their third year. It was just 3 years old at the time.
Yeah, I asked because I think I kind of know the time when you finished school, right? So I'm just wondering, around that time, how many universities in Ghana were like actually giving people the opportunity to do real AI stuff like you're talking about, and how many companies were giving university students this kind of opportunity. So it's actually kind of intriguing, like for a university in Ghana. And I think that's really amazing how
Yeah,
you got into.
exactly. And it's
Yes,
good you
because
really touched on that because the university actually in general in my department was not in support of it because the normal routine for every electrical engineering student, I mean, for your final year project, you're supposed to either do some Arduino something or
yeah,
anything exactly. So it was a bit challenging, but yeah.
wow, that's amazing. For us who went to Ghanaian schools, I think it's something interesting and worth noting. Okay, that's awesome. So Jade, we know that you grew up in South Africa. How was the experience like? Did you also encounter machine learning from school, or just tell us about your journey? How did you also get into machine learning and data science?
Thank you, Athena. So, and also happy Independence Day,
Thank you.
everyone. It's a great day. I'm busy learning about it at the moment. I'm very excited. So yeah, my journey started quite very early on. So I sort of mine was way before universities. When I was a kid, I wanted to build my own robot friend. My dad and I were really into science fiction, and we used to watch a lot of it and read a lot of it. And so that was my goal. And so I kind of geared my life to trying to do something where I would be able to create a robot friend. And so thankfully in South Africa, we had got quite a number of computer science degrees, which were really well respected. And so I just started there, and I started at the one that had, supposedly the best artificial intelligence group. I mean, now I know that there were many and they were all fighting over that title. Some of them were into different fields, like ours was into something called swarm intelligence, which is less popular now, whereas like another university was really into machine learning, and another would be into something else, kind of maybe more classic AI. And so I studied that with that intention, and then I got kind of disillusioned in my master's because I was doing a topic that wasn't related to building a robot friend, and I kind of didn't like how uncollaborative my master's was. I wasn't really promoted to work with other people. I was working in a weird field, and so I moved into industry as a software engineer at Retro Rabbit, and I loved that. I loved being able to work on software. And it was fun because you build something and then someone uses it, like almost, you can build something for a few weeks and the next day you could have 100,000 people using it for something. And I really liked that feeling. I thought that I loved that response. Whereas in research, it takes a lot longer. You have to publish a paper before you get the world to see what you're doing. And it has to be in a field that people care about. And so I worked as a software engineer, enjoying my life, getting a lot of experience. And then finally the opportunity to work on a project which involved some sort of machine learning came up. And this was around 2015. And in 2015, it was like a very different world. So this is the year TensorFlow came out. This was the year that Keras came out. I think ResNet, which is one of the big computer vision models, had just been released. And so it was a very exciting time, and I was deciding to use a lot of these new things in a production setting for a startup. They had a particular an NLP problem, and it was very, very, very challenging because we didn't have the tools that we have today. It was, you couldn't really deploy these models. I trained this AI model in a tool called Theano, which was pre-PyTorch. So if you heard of PyTorch, PyTorch is a big ML library that was based on something called Theano. I am one of the few people I know who deployed a Theano model into production. It was an old language model, which is quite a popular tool in natural language processing today. So I had to do that. It was a nightmare. It was fun because I felt like I was pushing forward new waters and no one had done this. But it was also terrifying. I thought I was missing something completely because no one was talking about all these problems. And so I've stayed in that space since then. And specifically, or most excitingly, at least for in my journey, has been in the process of co-founding Masakane, which is the group that focuses on doing NLP for African languages, and that's taken up a fair amount of my attention since its founding in 2019. So, yeah, that's a summary of my journey.
Wow, amazing. Guys, I think South Africa is ahead of Ghana in this because Jade got to know about this. She started building robots as a child and all. I think now.
Oh, I didn't build them. I wanted to.
You wanted to. Okay.
I drew pictures of me. Yeah, I definitely didn't. I started programming at school, but I wasn't building robots, that's for sure.
Okay, so at what age did you start programming at school?
I started programming, at school. I was probably 15.
Wow.
Yeah, so they offered computer science at school, which I think was really lucky because not many schools at that time were offering it. And I know in many of the spaces, I remember my first class, I think there were maybe 2 women in the class and the rest of it was men. It was the one class where, they had that dynamic from the get-go. It was already a space where there weren't many women. So I think at least I got used to it back then. So by the time I got to university and industry, I was like, oh, okay, this is what the tech world looks like. I guess I'll just deal with it and try and make it a bit better.
Wow, but that's still amazing because I think a few years ago, now it's better in Ghana. A few years ago, we didn't have so many institutions and organizations doing a lot of programming bootcamps for kids and for young people. Now we have quite a number. But for people like Martha, myself, Salome, and everybody like around that age group, most of us started programming at the university level. So I think that's a good thing to note. And it's amazing that now there are lots more coding for kids programs here in Ghana. So I'm sure, we are getting there. So we'll have some Jades amongst us as well.
Yes, yeah, no, I think I was so lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's also different. I think it's scarier when you want to pick it up at university.
Mm-hmm.
So I commend all of you for pushing through, and teaching yourself and finding that space where there wasn't one, because you guys are the explorers and pushing the world forwards that way, and pushing Ghana forward. So, I think you're definitely setting the standard there for Ghana generally.
Yes. Thank you so much for that insight. So, Jade mentioned that she's working with Masakani and also Retro Rabbit. So Martha, I think Martha, you talked about how you got into data science and machine learning, and I also know that you worked in AI at Zillich Technologies, and now you're also doing some AI research work at the University of Stuttgart. Could you please give us some more insight into all the other machine learning roles that you took up after school?
Yeah, so exactly. I'm really impressed by Jade's profile and all of that, because I know there are quite a number of people who are like me, who started programming somewhere around 20 or so. But yeah, so actually Zlit Technologies was a startup, and it was started by students of the University of Energy and Natural Resources. They were my seniors at the time. So at the point in third year when I developed that interest to learn how to program, because it was like fascinating to me, I reached out to the guys, and then they decided to help me with like programming, because I remember my first programming, I did introduction to programming in level 200, and I had, I think, was it a C or a D? I couldn't even print out hello world at the end of the course. So
Oh.
I, sometimes I just look at my transcript and I'm like, oh my God. And so these guys decided to teach me. So I joined them actually to work after my bachelor's. That was the compulsory national service, to work as a software developer. But while working with them, because my project was focused on creating chatbots, I decided that I could implement chatbots into all the solutions that we built for clients. So this time we're building like software solutions for clients, and then at the end of the day, I'll implement a chatbot to walk users through it, and then serve as like FAQs for users and stuff like that. And then we had this challenging project from one of the biggest fashion brands in Ghana, that's GTP. Um, and they actually wanted to have a software to be able to enable users like buy or buy from their trusted sellers and things. And then there was a part of it also, which um, was the AI part, which I had to research into and work on for that project, which was trying to identify how a fabric was going to look like on a human before they purchased it. So what we did was the chatbot started by first asking you who you wanted to buy the cloth for and for what occasion, and then it will give you like recommendations on the type of clothes. You know, the GTP clothes had names, and then it had also meanings to what each cloth stood for. So that was mainly the project, and in that I created this image recognition model, which was such that when you select the particular cloth, and then you say maybe it's a woman or a man that's going to use it, it would fit it with a style onto one of their models that we had. Um, and then you would see how it probably like it looks like in terms of when you saw it, how it's going to look like on you and stuff like that. So that was really, really interesting for me. And that was like the first major thing I would say I had done in AI or ML, because it got me to learn, because doing image processing was quite difficult, and where I had to learn about the image processing models, BGG. I remember I used BGG 16 and it was really cool. I mean, doing something like that. So that was how that shaped my aspect. So I didn't really even get to the company because I was an expert in AI or ML, but it happened, and then I just happened to work with it. So
Wow, amazing. That sounds super interesting. Martha, I'm just curious, is the app somewhere online that if someone wants to check it out? Because I think I kind of want to try it out. Or it was for clients or something. So we may not
so
be.
the app was up for a few months, and then they want us to rebuild it. So this time, their mother company, which is Blisco Group, which is in Netherlands,
Oh,
actually wanted to make it like a global something. So now it's going through like another stage of processing so that the app would be redeveloped to see like a global audience. So actually, they are currently still working on it, and for now, I don't know at what stage it has gotten to, but definitely once it's probably done and all user acceptances have been approved, once it's out, I'm sure you'd love it.
wow, that's amazing. And then also with your current work at the AI lab, right? I know you're doing some interesting work there.
Yep.
Would you like to share a bit
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah. I like to share that. So that is
Yeah.
also into image recognition. Actually, I don't know. It looks
Okay.
like I've found some lab for image processing. So that that is actually more like a a preface to the actual PhD I'll be doing. So this is trying to identify bees. So the cluster of excellence in CDC, it's more of having a lot of like architects who are designing like building facades that would be able to like help in plant growth and all of that. So my part in the research is trying to be able to get more pollinators, especially bees, to pollinate the plants that are going to grow on this building prototype. So I'm doing image processing where I have, so there's this app on Play Store currently built by some Cardiff University students, which um, people will take bees and like pictures of bees pollinating and post it there. And then I'm using that data actually to serve as the basis for the data for my model, which would be now classifying and then identifying bees. And what do we want to achieve with that? We are trying to um, install these cameras and then be able to capture whatever goes on within the prototype and then be able to identify at what point a bee is pollinating, how many times a bee pollinates in a day, what are the conditions that suit the um, pollination, and then also be able to award tokens like virtual tokens to these bees to for say, okay, good, the bees are pollinating. This is because we realized that in Europe, due to some climate conditions and stuff like that, um, now bees do not really pollinate almost every time and they are going extinct. So what are some of the things that could be done to still get them to pollinate plants, because they are the major actors when it comes into pollination. So yeah, that's the aspect of the research I'm currently working on now. And we hope it comes out successful, because that would be more like implementing it with a society, because we'll be doing more citizen science where we'd have students interacting with a prototype, taking pictures and sending it to the application to tell whether it's actually a bee pollinating or it's just a bee hovering around or it's nothing at all. And then be able to award these tokens to them. So yeah, that's the project I'm working on now.
Wow, amazing. Now we are sending AI to the insect world. Yes, that's really some great stuff you ladies are doing. Right. So, with all these things you've both been doing in the field, right? What skills do you think are the most essential for one to land an opportunity, let's say, a study opportunity or research or a job opportunity in machine learning and data science? What are some of the essential skills that you think would help anyone wanting to get into the field? I think Jade can pick it up from here.
Oh, I mean, I have many opinions about this because I think machine learning data science has many different roles in the organization. And I think it's quite hard to know which, the difference between these roles because a lot of them are very new. And so there are two things that I might recommend, which are kind of outside of the usual wheelhouse of when if you're doing a Google on what you need to know. So there's obviously stuff around, being able to use programming languages and things like that. But I think the two key things for me that might differentiate one, particularly on the data science side, I would say critical thinking. So, the ability to think about the questions you're asking about the data that you have, being able to really understand, get to know the data itself, understand how it was gathered, understand who did the gathering, understand the business problem you're trying to solve, and how that applies to what it is you're doing. That sort of critical thinking is something that's very, very key. they often when they teach data science online, they tend not to emphasize the initial homework and the initial problem solving of understanding exactly what the problem is and how it should be framed. So I'd say, number one, critical thinking is something that I think we often overlook and don't talk about, and it's such a key skill. The other one is, and this one, it depends on which side you want to end up on, but I say software engineering is such a useful skill. These days, the models themselves often, it's a couple of lines of code. There are a lot of pre-trained models. If we're not going to be doing, novel research, then we really don't need to understand exactly each line of code on how that model was implemented, but we do have to understand how to bring it into our context and use it. And I think the bit that comes after that is understanding when you deploy this model, when it goes out into the real world, if it fails, what are the implications of that? And being able to track and monitor that. And often this draws from a lot of software engineering skills, such as being agile or DevOps. These terms, which are really just about the process of releasing software, testing it, getting feedback, and improving it. And I think that's maybe the other area which I say is super important to look into in data science, beyond the kind of standard, learn some Python and train some models.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for this. So critical thinking. That's very true. And I guess for online courses, as you said, they're able to give you the concepts, but I think it's just a few that are able to really drive home the fact that critical thinking is super important. So what about you, Martha? What kind of skills do you think have helped you or are super essential in addition to what Jade has mentioned?
Yeah, so I totally agree with Jade, because critical thinking is the most important thing you would need, apart from the fact that you would need to, especially if you would want to write code, modify code, understand how it's working, you'd have to understand your basic statistics and probability, because if you don't really understand, for instance, you might even build your model and then you don't even understand what the result you're getting is or what it means. You don't understand what the accuracy means, what your confusion matrix means. You'd not even be able to interpret your results clearly to tell whether your model is actually performing or there's something actually wrong with it. So I think you would need to have such basic skills at hand, and not necessarily be like the super mathematician, but you need to really understand what you're doing. Apart from that, now there are so many no code AI or ML platforms that you could use, and it doesn't necessarily need you to be like a very good programmer or anything, because it's more like a drag and drop stuff which people could easily implement, especially for businesses. But then if you would want to go within into research academia, it's so important to understand what you are doing, even if you want to use the no code infrastructure, because you wouldn't be able to tell what is happening behind the scenes. And that is a bit difficult. So I say you still have to work on your mathematics. You still have to work on at least your programming skills, or at least Python or R, where it's essential, not necessarily going to do all the difficult C-sharp stuff and all of that. But then you would still have to have basics of this. But most importantly, being able to think critically, as Jade said, I think is the most essential one. So, yeah.
Right. So critical thinking. I think Jade also mentioned software engineering skills, right? And you also said programming skills and mathematics. Right. So thank you so much for these things you shared. And I'm sure our listeners are taking a lot of notes, especially those who want to start a career in this field as well. Right. So on this note, if you guys have if you ladies have any ideas or some scholarships or job opportunities in machine learning in Ghana, in Africa, abroad, anywhere else, we are ready to listen to them. So I think Jade, you can start with this one.
I think, I've seen a number of opportunities at some of the South African universities from the whole of Africa. So I think DeepMind did a series of scholarships at, I know there was one at Stellenbosch University and one at Oxford. I don't know if they're available now. But probably the best place to get involved is as I think it's an MLDS Africa mailing list, which I can share with the WiMLDS
Sure.
group. In that mailing list, you get forwarded many opportunities, and often specifically for African candidates. And they can be from scholarships to internships to whatever it might be. Another place to have a look at this is joining something like Masakane. So I would say if you're interested in NLP, there's a jobs board on our Slack. People tend to post jobs. If there's opportunities for studies, people tend to post those too. And so really just being part of the community, you'll see these pop up. Like I can't think of any off the top of my head right now that I know are active, which is why you kind of have to just kind of be on the lookout for them. There are lots of them, and they do come and go. And so being sure that you're following the right mailing list, so you're on the right Slack groups, even following many of the WiMLDS accounts. They're often sharing different opportunities. And you'll see, I think right now, if I was going to recommend anyone for something like an internship, I know there's a Mari Institute, which is the Microsoft Africa Research Institute in Nairobi, are looking and building up a department there. So that's one good place. And another one is Institute. They're doing, this is for people more focused on, I think, machine learning research, or have got a little bit of machine learning experience. I know they've got some ongoing opportunities right now. The trick is stay part of the community, join them, the opportunities get shared there constantly.
Wow, amazing. So I think after here, we would get the actual names and list of opportunities you've mentioned and compile them and make a post on that for our members and for everyone listening here today so that we get it out there clearly. So thank you so much for sharing some of these opportunities, Jade. Right. Okay, so what about you, Martha? Maybe you can also talk about some opportunities at your school or anywhere else in Ghana or in the world that you know of.
Yeah, so I mean, the first that always comes to me if I'm being asked to share opportunities is the Grace Hopper conference. So I think that's the largest women in computing conference you can get. And I'm sorry for the guys here because this is like female bias, but I happen to join the conference, and then we have this Facebook group where people post opportunities, and even in the conference you get to see opportunities from like companies like Google, Microsoft, all these big tech companies, institutions, those who want to go into research and all of that. And honestly speaking, the current position I'm having with this university, I actually found it on Facebook in the Grace Hopper Conference group. So all the scholars are actually in the group, and then the researcher posted that she's looking for researchers, so we can DM her. And her main point also in that was because to become a scholar for Grace Hopper, you would actually have gone through something like selection stages. So she feels they've done her first selection for her. So she has just little work in selecting people because she trusts that once you're there, you're good. So I think for the girls here, you can apply to be a Grace Hopper Conference scholar. I think applications are currently opened even for this year, and every year they have the conference, and there are so many opportunities to get them. Apart from that, also from my university, they have this partnership with a company called Cyber Valley. So Cyber Valley actually is an ML startup, and then once you go, so you can search Cyber Valley, and then you can click into their job sections. You see a lot of startups or companies or universities that are actually looking for AI or ML researchers or people who want to learn ML and AI. And there are so many opportunities over there as well. Based on these two, I think all other opportunities I've also gotten, I think it's due to like the networks you're part of. So I think you should basically target the right networks, especially in Ghana, for instance, Hi Ladies Ghana and Hi Data Ghana are two of the organizations where you can get so many opportunities. I mean, they keep posting and posting, and don't get tired of applying for them, because sometimes, yes, there are so many rejections you might get. I mean, I've gotten a whole lot of rejections if I go through my email, and sometimes it gets so annoying, I just delete them. But the opportunities are there, and then so just target the right networks. But with these two main groups I've mentioned, I think they have the most, because I've benefited personally from these two, and they are good. Thirdly, for those who are currently are into software engineering, software development, I think you could try Andela. So I'm part of the Andela network now, software engineer there. And on our Slack page also, there are numerous of opportunities that are shared. These ones are related to the industry and not necessarily research. So, I mean, even if you are joining not because you want to work for Andela as a software engineer, at least you get to join the community, and then you get to see more opportunities, which might pique your interest. So yeah, that's what I have to add.
Wow, amazing. So I'm sure we're also going to get everything in details from you later, Martha, and put it all together and send to our members. We are surely going to tweet about this so that everyone would see everything in one place, all the opportunities in one place. So apart from these university opportunities, scholarship opportunities, do you ladies have any can you tell us of any organizations or any open source projects that people could contribute to? I think Jade already mentioned Masakani, right? So are there any other open source projects that you contribute to or you know of, or that you could share along these lines? Any one of you can go.
I think for basically most of us who really want to learn, I'd say Kaggle is the best place to be. I mean, you can get data sets there, and then also contribute to like building your own machine learning models, and then you are able to contribute. I think even if you want to study with Kaggle, I'd also recommend the Zindi, where Zindi has lots of like hackathons. So in the like with the mindset of like participating in hackathons and stuff like that, you are also able to collaborate with other participants, and then you can even form groups in there and then participate on several projects on your own. Apart from that, as I mentioned earlier, PyData Ghana is actually also focused on machine learning and AI in Ghana, and so far, I think what PyData Ghana has been more focused on is more of tutorial sessions, but they also have the aspect which has got to deal with contributing to open source projects and contributing. It could just be in even like data, being able to help in data gathering or in data sorting, or not necessarily doing anything so big. It starts small. So these are resources or communities you could also try and join, and those would be helpful.
Right. Amazing. Okay, so since we are talking about opportunities, we here at Women in Machine Learning and Data Science Accra chapter, we also have a few things to share with you. So first of all, we invite you to join our meetup page. The link is in our bio, because over there we are going to have more of these kind of talks and conversations and workshops, right? So if there's any opportunity we have, we are going to post it. So you're probably going to know if you keep if you stick with us and you keep your ears to the ground for any news and information that we have. Also, we know that there's a Google AI lab in Accra, Ghana, and they have a couple of roles and positions available in machine learning and in data science. So there's currently a Google PhD fellowship for Africans for this 2022. And there's also a role as a Google AI student researcher at the lab, right? There's also a software engineering role at the Google AI research lab as well. So We're going to put the links to these things on our page after this talk so that you can all go there and look at what's over there and what you can also benefit from it. Right. There's also the ML News Google group. And yeah, people talk about stuff like this as well. There's also Ghana NLP. So Ghana Natural Language Processing Group. It's an open source initiative focused on natural language processing of Ghanaian languages and its applications to local problems. So that's GhanaNLP.org. There's also AIMS, which is the African Institute of Mathematical Sciences. That's AIMS. They do a lot of programs in the math, in the machine learning and all that. And they run this program called the ARMY program. Right. That's a data science and machine learning program, data science and machine learning graduate level program, which is sponsored by Facebook and Google, and it's a really amazing program you should check out. There's also for news and kind of like bite-sized lessons and tips and tricks on machine learning. There's also this Instagram page called Alpha ML. So it's at Alpha ML underscore on Instagram. You can also follow that for insights and bite-sized knowledge and tips on machine learning and data science. So we're going to put all these things together, including what our speakers have mentioned, into a document and tweet on it after this space so that we can all go there to see what we can benefit from it. Right. So back to our discussions. And please, if you have any questions, kindly DM our page right here so that at the end, read out your questions and have our guests help us answer them for you. Right. Okay, so back to our speakers. Do you have any recommended resources such as blogs or social media accounts to follow or courses, like your all-time favorite courses in the field or anything at all that people could learn or follow up with to get abreast with like machine learning and data science skills and news and all of that stuff? Like if you have any all-time favorite resources, please feel free to share them now.
I think I'd want to recommend the Alliance for AI community. So Alliance for AI is more of like bringing all AI enthusiasts or AI leaders in Africa together under one umbrella. So they have like several should I say subsections of Alliance for AI, where they have the AI clubs, they have the AI communities for leaders. That's those who lead actually AI communities in their group to share ideas and stuff like that. And then they also have their schools where you could also probably enroll and then take some of their programs. And then at most the newsletter. So their newsletters are always on point. And I've volunteered with Alliance for AI in the past, I think 2 years ago, and it was really amazing. There's a lot of things to learn from them, and then to also subscribe to their newsletter just to be abreast with the AI trends that are happening all over Africa, because they are up to date on that. So you could just visit their website and then sign up to whichever interests you. I think it's Alliance or like the number for AI.org. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Martha. Jade.
So I'd probably agree with Alliance AI. I'd also like to add the deep learning in Durban. So they haven't had an event for 2 years, but it looks like we're getting one in August this year. So follow their page. They're about going to release their call for applications. It's I think, almost a week-long event that happens this year. It's going to be in Tunisia. It's meant to move every year. So the first one was in Johannesburg, South Africa. The second one was in South Africa. The third one was in Nairobi. And this year it's going to be in Tunisia. And there, it's an amazing week. There's where you can really build up a community of, kind of join the community of machine learning and data science researchers and practitioners across Africa. It's a wonderful event. I cannot recommend it enough. If you're interested, you can check out a couple of blogs on my Medium about it. They're so great. Join that when you can. Attend that conference. If you do one thing this year, submit your application for that. Other resources, I have personal favorites because I follow NLP things. So being into NLP, I really enjoy Sebastian Ruder's blog. This is ruder.io. It's an amazing. Sebastian Ruder is a wonderful human being. He's currently heading up the African NLP at Google, which is fantastic, and I'm sure he'll be offering a bunch of internships related to that. But his blog is wonderful, so definitely follow that. And then the last one is Dr. Marabate, who you should definitely follow. He is an associate professor at University of Pretoria in South Africa, and he runs the Data Science and Social Good group. And they have a wonderful newsletter. So this year's monthly newsletter. It is excellent. Keeps you up to date with some of the ongoing courses. It keeps you up to date with some news, tips, some whatever comes along that he thinks is relevant for the kind of data science, social good space in Africa is on there. So those are my top 3 recommendations. And of course, join Masakani.
Yes,
that's a given with me.
Yes, Masakari as well.
Yeah, we have reading groups ongoing at the moment. We sometimes have study groups that seem to emerge. And so it's a great place to go learn with other people. It's not a particular course or a particular resource, but it's a good place for a community.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for that, Jade. And yeah, you mentioned deep learning in Daba. Yes. So I think the first time we met in person was at the one in Nairobi. I don't know if you remember.
I remember many things from that Nairobi.
Yeah. And fun fact is, then we didn't have WiMLDS Accra. And we met the organizers of WiMLDS Nairobi. And I remember Deborah Kanibala and I, and also Salome were like, okay, so they have this in Nairobi. Coming back to Ghana, we're come to start one. So that's how we also started ours. And by so that was in 2019, and by 2020 we had our group also started. And yes, so it was from attending a conference like Deep Learning in Daba that we also we saw our other females in Nairobi having this, and then we said, yes, we can also do this in Accra. Let's start it. Yeah, so there's also deep learning in Daba, like in Daba X's that happen in like various African countries, and Ghana is also part of this. I happen to be part of the organizers for this as well. So we had our first conference in 2019, and then 2020 we couldn't have it because of the pandemic, but in 2021 we had a virtual one, and this year we are planning to have another one. So please stay tuned for that. Everyone should look out for that as well, for Indaba X Ghana 2022. Right. So thank you so much for all the information, all the resources. We are going to do our best to put it all together and summarize it well, so that people would be able to have something to work with from today. And before we go on to our questions, I think our last thing we want to talk about is if you have any advice for people who would like to start a career in machine learning and data science. Let's say they've heard about it and they think, oh, this could be something I would enjoy or would love to do. What do you think they should do? Like, where should they start from? And how do they become like you, like Jade or like Martha now? Right. Martha, do you want to start this?
Yeah, sure. So that I'd love
Right.
to. Yeah. So basically, I'd just first say we should probably not feel it's too late to even start at because for all you know, you think you are too old for it or something like that. But I started writing programming. Like I started learning programming at age of 19 or 20, and I mean it hasn't been so long, and I think I'm catching up. So you should just have like a positive mindset to it. I think first of all, just get some good resources, get a community which you can trust, even if it's just one person. You can spot out to help you through, so that just in case you're stuck on something, you have someone to explain to you. And then just start it small. For me, I would personally encourage that even when you start small, the little things you do, could probably write about it, could probably share it, because you don't know who might look at it, who might see it, and then I just want to help you out. Um, People sometimes think sharing your successes on maybe social media or LinkedIn or something is more like you being proud or something like that. But I don't think so in any case, because you are branding yourself and you are the only one who knows yourself better than anybody else. So for someone to know your worth and for someone to be interested in helping, the person would have to see what you also have to offer. So think more, start learning the basics. If you've not had any like should I say any, you don't have any idea where to start from, you don't have any idea or any knowledge in programming, probably you could just start by taking like simple programming courses like Python. You gradually start from there, because if you don't even understand that and you start right from the ML side, there are certain maybe lines of code or commands they might write, and then it will throw you off. So at least when you know the basics and they are writing something or talking about something, you know what they mean and you know what they're trying to achieve there. So I think basically you could, I mean, there are tons of courses online. Just refrain from the ones that will tell you learn data science in 12 hours and then you go take that course and think you'll be an expert in 12 hours. No, just take the course, but don't keep it in mind that you'll be an expert in 12 hours. It doesn't happen. So yeah, take the course, but just I would say take it slow on yourself, be cool with yourself, and then make sure you just understand what you're doing so that you can make it. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much. So, Jane.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, it's a broad question. So the thing I think I would say is don't be afraid of getting something wrong. Rather
Okay.
try it and screw it up many times. So I can hear you. I was holding the phone dumb again. Such a bad habit. So don't be afraid of failing. That's the main thing. Because do it, mess it up publicly, and learn from that. Do that often. For me, after having been in this field for 9 years now, I still wake up
Wow.
every day and feel like I still have no idea what I'm doing, and that's normal. You got to get used to that feeling. And I can tell you it never goes away. And that's fine. You just get used to being in that state, and you also know that to me that says you've kind of calibrated. You know enough to do your job, sort of, but you know there's a lot out there, and so you're always learning. And so don't be afraid when you don't get things right, because even the most people who are the most expert in that field will also mess up on that thing that you've just messed up on. So don't be intimidated by failing. Don't be intimidated by struggling. This happens every day. It's kind of just something one has to get used to being in the field of technology.
Right. That's very true. So, you should have a positive mindset, get a community to join, write and share about what you start doing, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to fail. I think these are very important points for all of us to note and to work out. So, yeah, thank you so much for all that. Let's see if we have any questions in our DMs. Let me see. No questions in our DMs. Anyone wants to ask a question? No questions? Okay, if there's no question, maybe let me ask a question for everyone. So, what has been like the most challenging thing that has happened to you along this journey? So, for each of you, what has been like the most challenging thing or moment that ever happened to you on this journey?
I think I would say the most challenging has been the learning curve and then trying to be decisive. I mean, in terms of what I really wanted, because I practically never had a plan. I know it's crazy to say that, but unlike probably most people who plan out how their lives should turn out, I really didn't have a plan of what I really wanted to do. And even when I realized I loved ML and I wanted to do something in ML, I still didn't know what the end goal was for me, especially because, I mean, growing up in Ghana and having just like a few companies, you just want to probably stick to what can give you the most money at the time. So, and I think for me, being just like a software developer or just going to pursue my electrical engineering to the top to just work for maybe a grade co or a netco in Ghana was it for me at the time. So having to move out of it and then struggling to learn to fit within the field because programming was not my thing was quite challenging because there were times where and there are still times where I spent like the whole night trying to figure something out because it's probably not working the way I think it should work. Yeah, that is really tough because you end up in that space where sometimes you are just thinking of how to just figure out your error or anything without necessarily thinking of like, your social life or anything. But I think there's a perfect balance in there because once you get the hang of it, everything would be back to normal. But that was it for me. I mean, that was like mainly the challenge because I didn't know what the end goal is. And up till now, I know what I really want to get, but I still don't have like a clear plan as to what the end would be for me. But I know once I at least I know what I want to do within the next year or the next 2 years. It's best for me and it works for me. So I think that is it for
Okay. Yeah.
The biggest challenge, I think, for me was probably burnout. It's very, very easy, particularly whether you're switching careers or you're starting on. If you're someone who is ambitious and really cares about doing good work, burnout is very easy to fall into. By burnout, I mean when you work so hard that one day you wake up and you hate what you do and you can't think properly and you start feeling bad because you just can't get your own work done. I've hit this state multiple times, and ensuring that, particularly, I think in women, I think it happens quite a lot as we feel quite a lot of imposter syndrome. So we push ourselves really, really, really hard to be really good, and it's so easy to overdo it. So for me, that has been a huge challenge, and the best way I found in combating it is to ensure I've got stuff outside of my professional career that I also care about, whether that be art, whether it be music, whether it be dancing or exercise or rock climbing, whatever it might be. Ensuring that I'm having fun and engaging with people outside of the context of data science and machine learning and even Masakane in many ways. Masakane was something that saved me through lockdown. But if my entire life becomes technology, then I do burn out. Even if it's very easy to burn out doing things you love. It's actually more easier to burn out because you're really passionate about what it is you're doing. So yeah, that's my general tip for everyone based on the challenges I faced.
Yes. Yeah. Wow, that's actually very relatable. So, thank you so much for sharing your experiences, Jade and Martha. Our time is up, and we are so grateful for your time, for being here to share on your journey, all the resources. We've talked about scholarships, research opportunities, job opportunities, machine learning and data science communities that people can join, blogs, and so many other resources. And we are really grateful to you for all this information. We are going to put it together and send it to the community so that everybody knows and is able to note down all the important things we discussed. So thank you for giving us a very informative and exciting session today, Jade and Martha. And for everyone listening, kindly follow them on their Twitter handles to keep up with them, right, with all the amazing things they are doing in machine learning and data science. We also want to thank our amazing team at the Accra chapter of Women in Machine Learning and Data Science. And thank you to our other co-organizers, Deborah Kanibala and Salome Osei, and all our amazing volunteers working behind the scenes to make sure that this space was a success. We thank you all so much. Please follow us at WiMLDS_Accra. That's WiMLDS Accra, so that you know when we have any future events like this or when we share opportunities around machine learning and data science. And also, if you want to join us, kindly remember to click in the link on our bio to join our meetup page. So we've come to the end of our space today. My name is Asida Adaidese. My Twitter handle is at Asida AD, and it's been a pleasure to host you all here. I think we've learned so much this evening, and thank you so much to our listeners for your time. We wish you all a happy Independence Day. God bless our homeland, Ghana, and it's a goodbye for now until we meet again next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hopefully, I can come to Ghana this year.
Yes, we would love to see you in Ghana.
Yes, I want to see Accra, please. Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Bye.
Bye.